Greetings, YouTube and VOD watchers. Welcome to a very special edition of the Blind Stardew Druid adventures, in which there is no Rose here with me. It's just me and my test world. So, this is going to be somehow even less structured than normal. I'm not entirely sure I'll be able to fill up the 2 hours, but we'll see. So this is my test farmer in my test world. You'll notice I have time frozen. I usually keep time frozen unless time matters. And actually usually in the CJB Cheats menu I usually have auto water crops enabled, but there are two reasons I don't. One is because in the Druid mod I can just do that, and the other is that I want to redesign the farm come summer, because I'm only at spring. Is that important? Oh, no, that's not important. There is one thing I know I want to check. So you'll see I use CJB Cheats to get where I need to get numbers and whatnot. I want to get this early on in the stream. So I've got negative numbers. What do I have? Okay, so this is the one with the yeah, there's something weird. I've been messing around with the distillery. Last time this was, I think, at +3, and this was at -1. But now I have a -29 for brandy. So something weird is going on there. I still don't know what it is, but I want to get that on screen because that's not really what I'm going to be testing. No, the thing I'm most interested in testing is the thing that Rose and I unlocked in our previous stream, which is, what's it called? Enchant and Faith. Okay, those are the amount of production compared to yesterday. Okay, that makes sense. It was just really weird to me out because I just could not figure it out. The other thing, let me go back to the mines. The hover. Yeah. The other thing is, so, no, right. I have to remember I've moved hotkeys. If, for example, I take mayonnaise, so 2 weapons so I'll be producing 2 weapons box and no supply crates. But if I throw the mayo in there, okay. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything there. But yeah, so if I it took me a while to figure out that, one, you can't make weapons and supply crates at the same time. And 2, if I, for example, add the Galaxy Sword Okay, now it's showing 2 and 2. In my testing before that I did with the previous set, when I put the mayo in, it just went. It always went with the mayo. The last item in the inventory. Okay. So if I actually want to eat through, like, trash, if I do that, that will produce 2 weapons. Hang on. What is... Hang on. Inventory? Packhouse. If... Now, with the Insect Head Rusty Sword and Obsidian Edge, let me just remove the mayo and the Galaxy Sword. This should produce 3. Oh, wait, no. No, because it affects the pack house. So I can get 3 supply crates, but only up to 2 weapons boxes, which is odd. Okay, so my issue there is I didn't read. If I throw 3 more Galaxy Swords in there... Okay. Now I understand what's going on there a little bit better. Thank you. And I'll remove all that. So I don't need any of this. I now know how this works. And I'm going to make a note of that. Packhouse splits weapons and supplies. Priority to last item in inventory. Okay, so that is one thing, one set of confusion piled up. My test farm is also, it looks a little different. I have things set up different. And this chest is actually what I'm going to be testing. I'm just going to dump everything else in there because it doesn't matter. I am going to be testing Faith, which I'm going to do by... So initially, I was going to... I was going to just do something like this, but come on. Have those all fill up. Right, harvest them and fill them up again, but this has the once per day restriction on it, which is unfortunate, which is why I have 100 of each of these things now. Because at the moment, I have to admit, even with the testing I did, which is why I had this set up in the first place, I do not know for certain. Actually, I know Mushroom Log doesn't work. And Cask, I didn't have working. But yeah, I know that nothing that produces continuously is usable. But if I take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, max this out, and save a void essence. I need to clear out space for this. And because I'm going to be... If it doesn't have input, it won't work. But I know that's not everything. Because... again, I did a set of 100 of most of these. And I'm just going to keep letting meteors clear out my testing space for a bit. So that should mean that the... let me just quickly... So if I place down this lightning rod, nothing happens. So lightning rods are unaffected, which makes sense. They have an entire separate thing dedicated to them. Clear all this out. So, in trying to figure out, like, proportions and whatnot, what I did for some of these is I'm literally going to be making 10 by 10 grids. It does, and there is one very interesting result that I got that for video purposes I will not be stating until I show it, because for people who watch us in the background, that they don't know what you're saying, and so if I have... Yeah. So I take the clip. I have 100 bone meal. And I have my normal settings for Test World: infinite health, infinite stamina, so I can just mess around with stuff. Durable fences, which I honestly also keep on in casual playthroughs because I hate breaking fences. Auto feed animals, infinite hay, so I don't have to worry about those. And let's see, so bone mill no longer needs to be instant. Lightning rod no longer needs to be instant. And then to harvest all of these, actually wait, I think I can harvest it this way, which is much faster than what I did before, which it took me a few tests to figure out how to do the testing. I would clip in and right click to break the machine and get the output. Now I'm going to leave these here because I also know that if I break these and replace them, whatever machines I put on top of them aren't going to work. So for this I got, it looks like an even split between all 4 fertilizers, which is what I would expect. A little bit of variance, but fully expected result. Going to 2 that... Yeah, just like with the rods and the scarecrows, so it makes sense. Now for... where am I? I didn't take the furnaces. Those are the next ones I want to use. Where are my furnaces? Did I not? Furnaces are what I was using to do the initial testing to figure out how to do the testing efficiently. Let me turn off Noclip and place 100 of these. And I will separate them and... No, let me not place these yet, actually. Let me wait. So I go and use the faith. And I have my results from the furnaces, which is... So this one has I think has a bit more variance in it. I think I should be getting like 30, 30, 15, 15, 10 based off what I'm seeing. As for so 30 copper, 30 iron, 15 gold, 15 iridium, and 10 refined quartz. So interesting to note that it's not a steadily decreasing amount, but you have you have 3 tiers. But to make extra certain, did I turn that off? No, wait. This is so with the heavy tappers. Then we Noclip in, use the faith. I'm also waiting for there's a targeting bug I wound up with when testing. Oh wait, this isn't that. Wait. That is not the result I was expecting from the heavy tapper, from the heavy... I was expecting 3 of each. Let me just quickly take one of these somewhere I'm not going to be testing. Throw the faith. Okay, no. So if you manually harvest it, it works. So, okay. So anyway, it looks like the same proportions. It's just that using the gravity well seems to negate that bonus. The other thing I was slightly disappointed in finding out that that these things can't randomly give you radioactive bars, since I was kind of hoping for it, but it makes sense to just use the same list rather than make 2. Yeah, the quantity is getting lost, but only when harvesting with gravity well. Did the you did the not having radioactive bars for balance? I mean, heavy... Well, because heavy furnaces. Oh, because okay, I can. Yeah, I can kind of. Yeah, the quantity loss I figured is a bug. Because when I did the testing and I was manually harvesting, it all worked. But now I know that's not how this. Now I know that there's this bug. This is what testing is for. Where are my eyes? Oh, I temporarily turned my eyes off. I didn't know I could do that. Anyway, so that's that set. Now, I, as I recall in my testing, casks either do not work with faith or they work only in the basement, which this world doesn't have. So this one I'll throw up. I don't think I've used this spot yet. But I think it does. Yeah, so yeah. So the casks can't be used at the very least outside. I mean, if they're in your inventory, you can place them down. They just don't do anything. They only work in the basement. And I would assume that that the faith might affect them in the basement, but I do not have a basement in this test world yet, so I won't know. But the other fun thing is if I have an invalid machine like a cask, it still eats up the faith slots for those tiles. So I think Crystallarium is another one that doesn't work. So I'll put those two there. Let me check faith consumption though. So 492. Nothing. Still 492. Place cheese. Still 492. So it at least doesn't consume the faith, but it knows if you've hit a non-valid machine, and it still marks that tile, which is why I had to redo my structuring. Because I'm also looking for what is invalid. Well, we just showed Crystallarium is invalid. Yes. Which makes sense. So next, let me do the cheese press. I was kind of surprised. I was a little surprised by the result. Provided I can replicate. Oh, I realized when I gravity well the mayo machines, that might also be an issue. But I don't have one hit break on. Then we go inside, and we use faith. And I like that they're all gold quality. Are they supposed to all be gold quality? And it's an even split between the cheeses, as I would expect. Yeah. So each cheese gives you a random gold quality cheese, which is, again, it's another interesting result because there are 4 inputs, or there are 4 possible outputs, and I consistently only get those 2 things as outputs. Okay. That makes sense. So it's applying only the large. It's only applying the large milks, rather than a random of the 4. I like the decision. It's probably not the decision I would have made when designing it, just because I am very, very granular. But that's why I don't do mods for Stardew. And we check the faith on the charcoal kiln, and charcoal kiln does not produce anything. And I just want to make sure that I've hit everything. Yeah. So charcoal kiln, despite having an input, does not give you an output. How much faith am I down to? 300. Next was another interesting result from when I was doing the testing. The slow and inefficient way, with lower numbers and therefore less accurate results. Yeah, this is what if you hadn't mentioned that you were looking at things that have input, I wouldn't have known necessarily that it was an error. Because it's also not the only machine that does that. Spoiler. But I don't remember which ones do and don't anymore. So, fish smokers. Okay, these are all working now. And I'll gravity well them. Oh, that got me, that had me worried for a moment there. Oh, I thought they all just turned into smoked carp right then and there. So that's an interesting visual bug. I have no idea why that happens. I mean, it's because the default is smoked carp, but I don't know. That's weird. And it looks like the output is roughly proportional to the Druid fishing tables. Combining the fishing tables together. This one would require a lot more testing just because there are 9 outputs if I really wanted to do it. If I really wanted to get like hard numbers. But I think this gives me a good enough idea. Because I already did fishing testing when we got access to fishing. True. I just want to check the... If I recall, Midnight Carp... Oh no, Midnight Carp is a lot more valuable than I always think of the Midnight Carp as being a lot less valuable than it is, simply because I think of it as not worth fishing up. Alright, so the next ones I have are the Geode Crusher. I am honestly surprised I haven't encountered what I thought was a targeting bug that I was encountering in my testing. But now it's possible it may have just been I accidentally put him. No, because it was weird. I don't know how to describe what was happening. It was very confusing, but certain, like, say if I was this, like, this corner would be cut off. Even if I was, like, here, it would just still be, like, that corner. And I don't know why that happened, or what I did to do it. Because beyond what I've been saying for my process, alright, here we go, another 100 faith. Yeah, like, these two were out of range. I know that. But sometimes I was getting something like that, and then it wouldn't work afterwards. So this, to me, looks like the results of Omni-Geodes. Just straight up the equivalent of cracking 100 Omni-Geodes. Collecting all of this might have been a mistake. Easier way. Yeah. I think when I did my initial test. Oh shoot! Right, that doesn't work anymore. Oh. I can't just stand over water and have everything get destroyed. Yeah, I forgot that they changed that, which is ultimately a good thing for the game. It was a good change. I just keep forgetting about it. Because that used to be a good way to get rid of random things. Yep. And of course, sometimes I just miss the trash can. I thought there was a hotkey to do it, but apparently not. Or at least if there is, I managed to completely forget what it is. Dehydrators. Oh, dehydrators, preserves jars, kegs had some of the most confusing results. Not necessarily in what they produced per se, but yeah, in what they produced. It'll make sense when I whoa, we turn that off so I don't accidentally just break things. So now watch, I'm not able to replicate my results. Okay, all of these work, except were there two in the corner there? No. So first thing that stands out to me, the only dried mushroom is dried common mushrooms. Which, I mean, yeah, it fits up nicely in one inventory spot, but given the rest of the results, I don't think that was a concern. Because we've got, alright, let me see if I can So we have cherries, bananas, apples, mangoes, peaches, oranges, pomegranates. I think coconuts count as a tree thing. Then we have grape, blueberry, cactus fruit, strawberry, pineapples, hot peppers, and then melons and rhubarbs. This table confuses me. And obviously it's about a 50% chance to get a mushroom and a 50% chance to get a fruit. I'm assuming the common mushrooms is an error, and then that it should be giving common, morel, chanterelle, or purple. What is the logic behind the fruits? Because it's not just tree fruits, and it's not just... there's definitely a table. I just want to know the logic of the table. Because you've got tree fruits, plus coconuts, which I'm counting. You've got a number... Oh, it uses the wheeled table. And then raisins. Wait. No. Wait, how does it get... How does it get tree goods from the wheeled? Also, I don't think strawberries were part of it. Unless I'm missing something important about right of the wheeled. Which is entirely possible. It doesn't matter how many times I read it, I still miss things. So... no. So this would be cultivate. Tills dirt. Seasonal wild seeds turned in. Update crop and tree seeds. Oh, progresses the growth rate of maturing fruit trees. Okay. So that explains these. That explains the melons and the rhubarbs. And I think the hot peppers. I don't remember seeing any blueberries. And then raisins would be their own output. So this is another one I would need a much larger sample size if I actually wanted to figure out what the table is, I'm assuming. Let me go back. What do I have written down elsewhere? I wrote 59 dried mushrooms, 5 raisins, and 36 miscellaneous dried fruit. Which is a very different result. I was expecting more than 1 raisin, honestly. Okay, so it's from the table, and so presumably it's rolling grapes as if it was any other fruit. Oh, okay. Seems that if it would produce an invalids turn into the default. Okay. So it's taking basically everything. Okay. So basically everything goes in. So yeah, mushroom is the default output. So if mushroom's the default output there, and the fruits are. I think it's as far as invalid. There shouldn't be any invalid fruits. Oh wait, but the table includes vegetables because it's right of the wheel. So all vegetables turn into common mushrooms, presumably, as do the common mushrooms. But none of the other mushrooms showed up, which is especially strange because when I think of the dehydrator, the first thing that comes to my mind is the mushrooms for me. And now, as I set this up, yeah, weeding out invalid inputs would be very useful. I mean, not for inventory space, because it will explode the inventory space. But being able to get the other stuff would definitely be helpful. Yeah, and personally, I would also add priorities for the unique outputs, which would be the raisins, and each of the valid mushrooms. So that way you don't have to worry so much about like if you want raisins for Junimo huts, you don't have to do as much grape farming. Not that that's usually an issue. Yeah. Anything apart from bug fix, take with a grain of salt. Okay, deconstructors. Dear Lord, deconstructors. Oh, I moved. So first, they don't always produce an output. And two, I'm assuming they're pulling from every possible input, like with the previous thing. Oh, which would probably mean the ones that don't produce anything are invalid inputs. But you'll see, I'm getting stuff from Adventurers Guild Expanded in with the other normal stuff. There's a lot of really cool stuff. So I'm assuming this pulls again from just about everything that can be deconstructed, and that the empties are invalid inputs. Like if it tried to deconstruct iridium ore. No, that doesn't make sense. It has to be something general enough that it can grab modded items. It's also pretty... Let's dump all this in here for now. Yeah, it goes through... Oh, all the recipes that... Wait. All the recipes the player... You mean all the recipes? Because I don't have anything that uses Mystic Syrup or Dragon Teeth yet. So everything the player can craft. Wait, what only uses one bone fragment? How did I get only a single bone fragment? Don't tell me it takes from the Taylor table. Oh, wait, it was a quantity, and the quantity might have been lost in by using gravity well. Yeah. Yes. I was just a little confused when I saw Slime Souls from Adventurers Guild Expanded. Okay. So that was yes. Oh yeah. It makes sense, and I do like that the deconstructor isn't guaranteed to work because that would be super overpowered. Okay. Cask, charcoal kiln, cheese press, crystallarium, deconstructor. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Okay. I did dehydrator, fish smoker, furnace, geocrusher, heavy furnace. Mushroom logs are not one that has an input. So now what I do, because I have taken up a lot of yeah, like have it fall back to produce like stone, wood, whatever. So I've used up a lot of testable space, so I'm going to reload. Dump stuff back in here. And let's see. So I need to go with so kegs. I'll come back to the incubators because those are going to be a little more complicated to test. Loom, mayo machine, oil maker, preserves jar, recycling machine, slime egg press, seed maker, wood chipper are what I'm going to test in this batch. Oh yeah, I have to meteor everything again. Uh, yeah, I can read it. I'm bad at writing it. I, I, I had to stop on Code Academy because I just kept like it would tell me my the source code's on GitHub. Okay. Yes, I will have to look at that. Yeah. I had started looking up working on trying to learn to code via Code Academy. And I kept it would tell me that something was wrong. Ah. Yeah. The, yeah. The one issue with diving into code before testing is I still want to go through like blind. So this is stuff I'm doing because I want to more organically learn what's going on. And I just do that with industrial cheating. and and putting stuff down, making hypotheses, uh, testing, scientific method stuff. As I recall, Keg was another one that was a little odd to me. So kegs, me cast. Okay. Okay, so keg is one of the ones that, again, I'm assuming there's an invalid input somehow. But I'm not. I'm assuming the table is weighted slightly, but not significantly. Oh, I wonder if the empty ones are supposed to be coffee and it tries to put a single coffee bean in. Because as I'm looking at this and my previous 100, I didn't get any coffee from any of the kegs. So that might have been these 3, 4, 5 might have been coffee. But yeah, the proportions are weird, but at least I now know the logic behind the juices and the wines. And so this would be another one that I would need to do a lot more testing, or a larger scale test to see what the percentages are, or just look at the code now that I've tested it. So yeah, so something's going on with the kegs, and it's probably an invalid input. And my guess is coffee. Because it's something that can be put in, so I'm assuming, so in the game it would be flagged as can be put in keg or whatever the actual code it says. And it sees coffee bean is there, but doesn't know that 5 need to be put in. That's the only invalid input I can think of that would be on the tables as... Coffee isn't in the input table. What the heck are these are the empty things? What fruit or vegetable? Let me see. Maybe. Let's see. What on earth can... That is truly bizarre. I thought I had it figured out, and then it's like, no, it doesn't work. All right, looms. Not entirely sure what I was expecting. But this makes sense. And it works unlike the charcoal kiln. Let's go oil machine next. I'm going to do... Yeah, something was invalid. Yeah, it's just a matter of... It's one of those right for the wrong reasons. I'm going to do my next set of testing down here so that I can gravity well the inputs without clogging my inventory. Because I do need to gravity well this. And if I wind up with 100 mayos of various types, then we know gravity well is also bugged with this. And it's more likely, and then would more likely be a general bug. Alright, mayo machines, go! Alright. Yeah, about what I expect. About what I would expect. Roughly even split. This one does include, as you can see, the small egg in addition to the large egg outputs. And the mayos, the normal mayos seem to be split between small, large, and ostrich. Ostrich eggs. Ostrich eggs give you 10 mayo. But if I gravity well them, 3? I didn't see 3 anywhere. Yeah. And 29 plus 30 plus 14 plus 14 plus 13. Okay, so Gravity Well doesn't like ostrich mayo either. Yeah, so that is a, I think we can safely say it's a general issue with Gravity Well, not just a thing. Quickly make space for the oil maker, which I don't actually remember what I got. Did I test this? I don't know if I actually got around to testing this one. At one point, I just stopped because I ran out of time and then never got back around to doing it. Especially once we had the schedule change and I knew I was going to be doing on-stream testing, I figured I should save some of the results so that I don't know. And here we go. Oil machines. I moved. Hang on. Okay. Three to one. Yep. 3-to-1 oil to truffle oil makes sense. All inputs are weighted evenly. Therefore, the outputs are the 3-to-1 ratio you would expect. Preserve jars can go up here because I'm not going to be gravity welling these either. My nice, neat rows got messed up and I don't feel like fixing it yet. Because I'm pretty sure the result of this... No, wait. Now I think about it. I think there might have actually been an issue with this one. Alright, preserve jars. Okay, presumably these holes are the same as these holes, so we have whatever that ID thing is. But the other thing that surprised me about the preserve jars is there's no aged roe or caviar. But it looks like an even split of jam and pickles. I think it's the same list as... Yeah, it makes sense for these. Well, apart from the ones that you have the special stuff for. Yeah, for random fruit and veggie, it makes sense that they'd be using the same. Yeah. I might be biased because because this series is coming off of the Fish Farm series, but it's very bizarre for me to not see any aged roe be produced. Yeah. I don't think it matters. It's just odd to me, particularly from what I had just come off of. Alright, recycling machines. Which I think was another surprising result for me. Yeah. Yeah, now I'm trying to remember which ones are surprising results and which ones are results I haven't gotten. So recycling machines. Accept an input, but do not work. Which I guess is fine because, I mean, all the trash should be going to celery anyway, except for newspapers, which go into either cloth or Satious Vigorous. But yeah, this is another odd one by the logic of input. If you can input, it works, but except for when it doesn't. I still wish I could replicate the targeting bug / issue I was getting. I'm assuming it must have been I just placed a machine, triggered it, and it didn't work for some reason. But it being in a pattern, consistently in a pattern when it happened was weird. All right. Seed makers. No free seeds. Yeah, recycling machine should probably be figured out so that there's another way for seed maker. I don't think needs to work with this. Although it would be really funny like summer year 1 to get just or here in like spring year 1 just randomly getting anything. All right. Next is the wood chipper. Whoops. Other side. Please don't break anything. And this one's probably going to take 2 casts. Or it could do nothing. That is actually unfortunate. Since it won't work on tappers, this would be a way to have a chance of getting the syrups faster at the cost of essences. And lastly, for this round, because the incubators are probably going to take multiple kinds of tests. I still have that on. Alright. Slimes. I would expect to see lots of slime eggs. Hang on. Because the last few have all not produced anything, I don't... Let me double check. Okay, yeah, no, that doesn't make... Okay. So... The wood chippers, the seed makers, the recycling machine, and the slime egg press don't work. Oh yeah, I still have 514. Yeah. I think that means the only things left to test. Yeah, that was a lot of machines that I would expect to work that didn't. These final three, I'm not necessarily expecting to work, but for the sake of knowledge, I'll put 50 of these down. Because these don't have a traditional output, I wouldn't expect anything from those, no. Okay, that must be placed in a barn. Let's just quickly do this. Yeah, I wouldn't expect that to work either. But what if I go here? I don't have an incubator in this one. My test farm doesn't have an incubator in the thing. Okay. What if I remove a chicken? So now there's space in here. No, okay. So the incubator just does not work. The incubators don't work, which makes sense because they don't have an actual output. So that is... Okay. Let me do the fast machine checklist. Okay. Yeah, incubators I didn't expect to work. Kegs mostly work. Looms work. Mayo machines work. Asterisk for gravity well. That's gravity well itself. Oil makers good. Incubators just don't work as expected. Or as expected, they don't work. Preserves jars. We want to do the recycling machine. This, yeah. So seed maker doesn't work. The egg press doesn't work. Let's see. And the wood chipper. Yeah, those ones were surprising. Let me make sure I have everything off. Okay. And I can turn off one hit break. I still want to keep those. Keep all of those. That doesn't have any toggles, doesn't have any toggles, doesn't have any toggles, doesn't have any toggles. I'm still going to keep time frozen. Okay. And... Ah! Wrong exit. Wrong exit. I'm not ending the stream yet. Reloading Stardew. Stuff like this is also why I wound up running out of time to do the testing on my own time. Because I just would keep completely closing the game instead of going to the... Oh, I pressed a number and changed my emotion. I keep forgetting. I need to have my PNG tuber's face visible, so that way I know what emotion I'm displaying. Okay. So that is all of these tested. Except the mushroom log, because I don't know why I put that in there, because sometimes it bugs with a different mod. Or with the anything mod. And then I've done I've tested the gravity wells, and so I now know a little bit of how this, now that I understand how this works better, and I know how to manipulate things. Yeah. Yeah, I'm still not sure what all these numbers mean, but you already said you're working on that, so that's fine. And this will make, I'm assuming will make... Oh, the yield is the yield based on price? What if I take a mayo and an egg? Let me get a bigger differential, actually. A dino mayo and an egg. Dino mayo and egg. Produce one supply crate. Oh, dino mayo is not considered an animal product. So that would mean the next most expensive is duck mayo. Yeah, that would be nice. I also... Oops. Alright, let's put those back in. And estimated. So the egg is 20% and the duck mayo is... So... Wait, do I have the animal person profession? Is that why that's going? Oh, okay, yeah, that's where that's coming from. So an egg is normally worth 50, and 50 is... So 50 coins is... So 50 coins is a 20% yield. So... No, that's not right. Hang on. So okay, 140 versus okay, that mostly works out. So 200 roughly, yeah. An egg is 20% of a supply crate. I'm assuming it's done by value, and the numbers roughly work out to around 250 coins per one. So if you really want to min-max things, like, so with those two, actually this one requires 3 things. So so you would be better off manually putting one egg in every day than putting all your eggs in. Technically, it'd be horribly slow, but it would essentially give you 4 free eggs a day, if I'm understanding that. Nope, wrong button. Yes. Yes, it is. I, yeah. Yeah, I'm just a huge math nerd, and I'm like, and it's, so it's something for Rose and I to keep in mind that, like, if we have, if we have, say, I mean, we're producing 2 eggs a day, it doesn't matter if we put 1 or 2 in, we get the same number of supply crates. Uh, but once we start getting more eggs, as in more than 5, it is then worthwhile to just throw them in just to process them. So that makes sense. Let's see, was there anything else that I can... Okay, the tricks. Let me change the time to like 9:40. Like I've seen a bunch of the tricks, like the slime bubble, the butterflies, and all that. Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, nobody likes turning into a bear. But the one that was odd to me. Uh, um, oh, you're in an animation. That's why that won't work. Demetrius. Slime bubble. He didn't give me dialogue. I wasn't paying attention. Does each person react differently to different things? Because the one that confused me is I don't think I've had anybody who likes the butterflies, which feels like it should be. Yeah, there's the dialogue. Does it only give dialogue, or does it affect friendship? Actually, I can quickly just check that. That's not the house I wanted to be in, but that's fine. So 78, 23. He liked whatever I just did that I didn't see what it did. All right, Sebastian. Oh wait, I already turned you into a bear. 13. Slime ball. Okay. 13 points, 1 heart. Now he's a cat. And that boosted friendship. Okay, he liked that one. 207, 2 hearts. 207, 2 hearts. Is it a... Okay, so it's so gain or lose a random amount, and it doesn't matter what the trick is. I've just happened to be getting people saying they don't like being a bears, And they also don't like butterflies. Okay. So it is pure. That makes more sense. Okay. It was just weird. You could. It would. I think it would also be helpful if, like, cert, if like certain reaction or yes, yeah, some specific likes dislikes. Literally, the first trick I tried was on Leah, and it was butterflies, and she hated it, which is skill trees. Oh, that sounds amazing, and also like 5 headaches. Let's see. So I think that's everything. Yeah, I feel like it should be always liked, but maybe like a low amount of friendship to make it. Yeah, the only other thing that I've been trying to figure out testing for is the Winds of Fate, because nope, that one was too much. Because the logic, as you said, there's like it's very arbitrary as to what it. Oh, huh. I didn't realize you could just walk in. Is that because I'm no-clipped? I don't remember any of the documentation saying you could just walk in. I may have just skipped over. I just thought you could only teleport in, which makes sense to me. So, if I'm here, the exit's right there. I'm facing the exit, and it brings me here. Yeah, I as neat as the Eye of the Warble is. It is um also the bus is an exit. Yeah, there's weird. Yeah, there's some weird stuff in how it works. Oh yeah. I mean, let's see. In addition to the ones you've added, you also have every door is one. I feel like I feel like there might be some others that I'm just blanking out on. But yeah, as it is, I don't find myself using the warp to get around, and obviously not on the farm. Um, and as we saw when we first got it, it can be actively detrimental, specifically. Oh, that's Linus's hut. Yeah. Is when you're in the bathhouse area. Uh, if I were to warp, we now know it brings you right to the edge of of that. yeah, yeah. Some, at the very least, I would recommend hard coding this area to only warp between the entrance and this place. I guess maybe the spa, but the spa's like there. Or at the very least, coding out the ability to get accidentally killed by Mr. Key. As funny as that was for that to happen to a content creator, I have to say that's something that needs to be fixed. But yeah, I think that's everything tested that I hadn't already tested that Rose and I have access to on our farm. And I have access to on this farm. I probably should test casks in the basement once I get a basement. But I'm assuming it would either do nothing or pull from the same table as the keg. And if it pulls from the same thing as the keg, then green tea would also be an invalid input. Yeah. Yeah, that's something. Let me quickly. So, Nexus. Oh, wait, I never joined. Wait, really? Why didn't I join the Stardew Druid Discord? I thought I was already. I thought I was already on that. I'm looking for the coding so I can go through that at a future point. I do have to be careful about how I go through the code and for reading. Yeah, I'll deal with the. You must complete a few more steps before you. I'm sure this is absolutely riveting for gameplay. Treat everyone's result, ministers as usual. Everything. And agree to the rules. Okay. Yeah, that is fair. I have, yeah, I'm subbed to a few, and honestly, it was like because of particular projects, and then once that project move on, it's just like I'm not interested, I'm not interested, not interested, not interested. It's just like, or there's like, or there are some indie games where I'm subbed and I wind up with getting pinged for irrelevant things, but I'm looking for specific notifications that are sent out the same way. Anyway, I'm stalling at this point. I think I've done everything I can for this test stream, and honestly, I was not expecting. I was half expecting me to run out of testing after testing stuff after like half an hour, but no, got through most of the stream time. So yeah, so I have now joined the Stardew Druid Discord. Speaking of which, any VOD watchers who made it this far, join the Discord. Link is in the link section as well as the description. And please do remember to like or dislike and or comment and or subscribe and or ring the bell as the algorithm demands. But for now, this has been 18.2, and I will see you guys next week, hopefully with a longer stream.